if your examples are bad and your messaging isn't clear, do you do more harm to the cause by not executing it properly?
Yes,
It
I
so
think
you should not say anything.
Mm.
yes. So for example, you hear this a lot when they get into like that. Why are the artists the ones speaking about this issue? Or why are the entertainers the ones speaking about this issue? Because like even though if your intention is good, if you aren't able to clearly articulate it and you kind of like end up saying a bunch of disprovable shit, even though like the whole concept of what you're saying is positive and can be good and proven, you've given fodder for the other side to kill it and put it up on whatever their platform is and be like, look how dumb this concept is.
No, that's okay. No, I think that's important to get out there too, because
Mm.
I agree with that 100%. People don't, especially like artists, athletes, a lot of people with platforms. You
Hmm.
know, they do a lot of speaking, but I don't think it's enough research or
Yeah,
enough
not fully
study,
informed.
or it's not enough reading that goes behind. It's easy to go out there and say something. It's hard to go and like do the research
Mm.
first and actually think about what you're gonna say and know why you're gonna say it too. So I think, yeah, no, I think we definitely gotta get away from just idolizing, celebrities' words and just always running to them for their thoughts on these certain issues, because it is a lot of, I think, like you say, it's harm if they're just
Mm.
coming off the cuff with the shit.
Yeah, and I don't really think I think that it's really their voice is the loudest. You know what I mean? Their voice has the most reach. So that I think that that's the reason why, you know what I mean, it can be such a bad thing because they're the loudest. You know what I mean? I think that's the really the biggest thing that you know what I mean, that's to the detriment of whatever the purpose is.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But I think that's the point to bring it back in. I'll say welcome back to the To Be Fair show. I am your host Johnny P,
Over here, real.
It's Q.
and we back. I think that was a good little place to, kind of,
Jump in. Mm.
kind of warm it, warm it up. I don't know,
Okay, so I have a question.
Hop right in. Yeah. What's up, Taj?
So a lot of the relationship conversation that we've been hearing on social media, um, I feel like it's majority of it kind of comes from a standpoint of someone having more leverage in the relationship than the other person.
Mm.
In regards to like what the expectations are, how people should act, what should be done, all these things. So my question is, do you think that you could be with a woman who is as smart and as successful as you are,
Mm.
or more than you?
I don't. I
So
mean,
could you be with a woman that's smarter and more successful than you?
Yes.
more
Okay.
successful mean bringing in more money,
Yes.
specifically.
Mm.
As success. I don't see why not. I mean, because I don't think. I mean, that's easy for me to say, because but I don't see why I couldn't do it. I don't know. When you get into shit, different shit come up, but I'd like to think I'd be able to do that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that like it's not so much about who's the smartest and who makes the most money. It would be more of like it would she, because I'm the type person like I feel like if you, I think the man, I think as a man or as a man for myself, I would like to lead. I'm a lead. I like to think of myself as a leader. So of course there'll be certain areas in which she's going to do better than me at, not, you know what I mean, certain areas that I'll be better than her at. But I think that at the end of the day, like I want to lead my family. So if she couldn't allow me to lead, then that would be the problem. It wouldn't be whether she makes more money than me or not. It's really just the way she feels about, you know what I mean, being led. And that's my how I feel about it.
So what if
Okay.
she's more apt to lead inside spaces?
Would I be with a woman that was more, and what do you mean apt to lead in spaces?
Yeah, you said that you want to lead. All right. So what if whether it's if we can go down like different avenues in which a man might want to lead. We can go down whether it's the financial portion, and she's a much better financial planner, X, Y, and Z, and like she might be inside that whole field in which now like her investment strategies and thoughts and perspectives and family finance and what's better for the budget and different things like that, she might have higher level of expertise there in which she would then be leading inside that area,
Mm.
and you'll be deferring because if she's wiser inside that space.
I mean, but there got to be a space where you're proficient at too, because why would a woman?
Why are you answering for
Oh, my
real?
Oh, I
bad.
You
didn't know
have
you was asking that question
well,
specifically
you
to
asked
me.
me to explain out what I meant when I asked you the question.
Oh yeah, I just wanted clarity. Yeah. So
You got
let
it,
me
bro.
see.
My bad.
What if
You
what
said you
I
don't care. Jeremy care a little bit, maybe. So that's why I'm just saying seeing where's the line of where his care and not care is at.
um hmm.
Because you said that you would want
I
to
would
lead.
actually have to, I mean, honestly, in my let's say in this perfect, we talking about what I would rather, or you know what I mean, what I would rather, I would have to actually have that play out in a way. You know what I
So
mean? So I don't know if to be completely honest, if I was to answer it right now, not having lived any scenario close to that, I would say no, I wouldn't. I
mm,
wouldn't want to be with a woman that would pretty much want to lead the family in more areas than willing to give up leadership in.
well, that changed everything. That's not what I said.
Okay, so
He was
I
very
clarify.
specific.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just saying lead and like so it might be a seesaw of different. Not saying that she leads more or she leads in like this multiplicity of different things, but there are spaces in which
Oh
she
no.
leads inside a quote unquote non-traditional way because of her expertise is better than yours.
Yeah.
In which, like, you would, I guess, in essence, quote unquote, have to be submissive in that space.
Hmm.
That's why I gave like a traditional male thing, what might be finances
Right,
or
right,
something
right.
like that. You could think of like a different trope if you will, but that's kind of what I'm meaning.
Yeah, yeah. I think it
But I
would be
think your
tough for
answer
me.
was good as well, still.
Yeah, I think it would be tough for me. You know what I mean? Just
Hmm.
being completely honest, I think it would be tough for me. Like me being with the woman that was like, because I've always been in
Hmm.
the traditional scenario where I am the breadwinner, I am the protector, provider. Like I've always done those things. So that would be something different for me that I've never experienced. I don't know how I would actually feel about it. You know what I mean? So I just don't have a real.
What about on the intellectual level?
If he was just smarter than me,
Yeah,
just
like
plain
he
out
was
smart.
really, really, really bright, really smart.
Oh no, I would
Um,
love that.
okay.
I would love that because I love conversations. So if we have the ability to actually get into an in-depth conversation and she can really express herself in a
Hmm.
logical straight line and paint these things, you know
Hmm.
what I mean? Oh, I would
So
love that.
you wouldn't mind the correction inside that space.
Oh no, no, no,
Okay.
no. If in conversation, I like this I like that's one of the things I try to stay like not have a biased opinion of my opinion. I'm
Hmm.
not just right because I think it. You know what I mean? So if I would love to be able to have those back and forths to where I'm like, nah, I can respect your intellect. Like
Hmm.
I really respect that. You know what I mean? To me, that's like one of the best. Just for me, that's one of the best things about you know what I mean. Being with a partner is the ability
Have a conversation. No,
yeah, like
I agree with
and
that.
love that opinion and where you can see the validation in it and you know what I mean can
Hmm.
connect those lines. That would be a lovely thing.
Yeah, now that's why I'm definitely pro conversational. I'm for conversational relationships,
Hmm.
definitely. But so it sounds like so your line that you're drawing is more so between a woman that starts picking up traditionally male tropes and she's executing those in a relationship. That's when you kind of like I'm more of a traditionalist and I'd rather be that person that kind of has my you know what I mean my hands on the horns per se.
Yeah, yeah, and I say
Okay.
that that's just based on what I've experienced to this point. Like I
Okay.
said, I've never experienced anything other than that, so I can't really wrap my mind around how where my space would be or how would I adapt to feel value
Hmm.
in you know what I mean that relationship because my value has been based in certain things throughout this throughout my life.
Yeah.
I'm
No,
gonna have
I
to
dig
answer the
it.
question.
So would it matter to me? Nah, not at all. I think that it was one podcast that maybe me and it was when Jeff was here, and we kind of had a very similar conversation, and I was speaking about how for me, my level of being a man within a relationship isn't really based off of like financial and monetary type of thing, and like holding an advantage over the person. Um, you know what I mean? Of course, I do think that like the human that I am, my reasoning, my logic is valid inside that space. But yeah, all in all, like if she makes more money than me, I don't really hold money as a thing that's a negative for a woman. Like if you get into like a lot of the red pill spaces and different things like that, and they start saying a woman's money is no use to a man and different shit like that, I
Hmm.
don't agree with that.
Yeah.
I think that more money coming into the collective pot means that we can do way more things with it. Because I'm not a 500,000 a year earner. I'm a fairly regular guy.
Right.
So like I have my life that's shaped around those ideas. So financially, definitely wouldn't make a difference to me. Like if anything, I encourage my woman to make as much money as possible because it's better for the family. In general, like I'm gonna work hard, you work hard, we work hard together. Guess what? Our kids are gonna have an amazing life and be able to, you know what I mean? Like we can choose their struggles more than them have to go through the struggles that life in general was just gonna slap them with because of we not able to provide. And then the other part was intellect. If she's smarter, I think that would I care? No, I think that that's probably. Let me see. I don't know if that's a growth space or not for me. Uh, but not really. I'm trying to answer it as honest as I can. But yeah, I don't think that a woman's intellect would be an issue with me either, just because I'm a conversationalist. I like to talk and have conversations, like to debate. Um, and yeah, it is kind of like its own little thing that you have to adjust
Hey,
to, though,
could
for
you
sure.
imagine? Could you? And that's, just
No,
think about this.
I'm gonna say this: the intellect on this side of it isn't the issue, but I do gotta like I don't like stupidity, and so like intellect on the other side, that has been a deal breaker.
Oh no, that's a red
So
flag.
No, for
like
sure.
I
as
agree. That
as
for me, that's a red
as
flag.
that
That's a tap
has
out.
like the level of a woman's intellect have definitely been
Listen,
an
I've
issue
been on like
for me before.
like
Yeah.
first dates
The
with
lack of
attractive
intellect.
women, and immediately 5 minutes in, I know,
Oh man, he'd be
ain't
like,
it?
oh my God.
Yeah.
Like it's I don't really be having that interest.
That's probably the most annoying thing
Yep,
that's out there. Is
yep,
you know what I
yep,
mean?
yep, yep.
Among that just can't hold the
If you don't
conversation.
see like a certain level of like, there's no real
Yeah.
depth to you, and this isn't like book smarts or any specific smart, because there's some women that you meet that's high level, like witty, and you can appreciate that.
It's the
Like
best.
they
That's
ain't
the
about they
best.
ain't about to give you like the craziest stock shits or anything like that, but it's like high level witty.
Just good
Or you
jokes.
yeah, right. Like you could, but to me, if you're high level something, there's a smart there. There's an intelligence there in general.
Well, and for me, like having like dealt with that opposite, like
You be choosing them dumb women.
I can't. Nah, I mean, I've been there before, but I don't think everybody have been there before. But having gone through, I can't with the right, clear logical thinking, being like, oh, you can't be too smart because I'm like,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, and it's an attractive thing, if you really if you're smarter than me and I can learn
Oh yeah.
something from you, it's like, well, why wouldn't I
Nah,
want to
Yeah. No,
be
that's
blessing.
that's
like
probably
why
fire.
wouldn't I want to be
Yeah,
locked in
I
or
think
That's fire.
where it
like
could become an issue would be if they're condescending.
that's a
And that
And
personality
see,
that would be
thing.
the thing
and that's
that
what I was
I could
going.
imagine being
That's a
like a real issue.
And
personality
that's what I
thing.
was going. And I guess in my mind, see, I generally go off when I answer the question. It's more of like, okay, so women that I've seen higher earners, what do I hear them speak about in conversation? You know what I mean? As
Uh-huh.
far as like, it would also, it's not about whether she makes more money or whether she's smarter than me. It's really about how does she handle the relationship? How does she, you know what I mean? What does that look like?
Hmm.
What does it look like within a relationship? Do you talk a certain way? You know what I mean? Do you talk to me a certain way? It's not about how much you make. I don't really care about that part. If you make more than me, then
I
that's
got
cool. But
I
how do
got
you treat me while making more than me?
I
How do
got
you treat me while you're, you know what I mean, let's say you have a higher intellectual capacity or you're smarter than me.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? How it's really about that part. It's not about the actual, you know what I mean, just the black and white. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's really about how the relationship is, you know what I mean, how's the communication and stuff.
No, you said something that like kind of triggered me. It's like how you entertain yourself too. Like what are you feeding yourself? What kind of information are you? Cause I think that's gonna
Man,
shape your conversation. That's gonna shape like if you move by, stuff you see on social media, City Girl, you getting real and doing a bunch of the typing and stuff. I'm like, oh man, you falling into that. But if you're somebody who sees it, oh, okay, I don't necessarily, and then go about yourself and you're about like improving and like and working out. There's a lot of different like productive means of like entertaining yourself too. And I think that goes a lot to that into well, not necessarily intellect, but just working on
well, I
yourself.
think
And I
maybe
got a question.
I just
Go
want to
ahead, go
jump
ahead,
in.
go ahead.
I think for me, I'm not as strict on that. I think that as long as there's a fair balance, because I also indulge in some ignorant shit.
Okay.
I like my fair ignorance, but I balance
Nigga
it with like some
always
other
have
shit.
too, bro.
Like I think ignorance is okay. Like I'm a
Say
full
just a
range
little
human
bit.
being. I want you. I actually, matter of fact, no. Let me. I'll even go this. I prefer to see a space of like normalcy as well. I've been inside a relationship before, in which one of the things that ended up kind of like being a reason of breaking up was I never seen this person inside a with their guard down, with their shield down, as a regular person. Never really like seeing them inside like some of the like just enjoying like some dumb shit.
Oh,
To where like
not being able to laugh.
right. In which to me that definitely is one thing that like I also need to make sure that you're a regular person because I'm a real regular person as well. Like if you know me long enough, you know I like to talk and I can come off serious at first, but then I'm just silly as shit. I'm a really regular person. You know what I mean?
So you is it when you say is it that it's abnormal for a person to be like just be more on the serious side,
Well,
or is that less human?
like all the time.
Yeah,
Then
just be
I
like
feel like I
just
feel
not
like
want to like partake in ignorant shit.
I think that is for me. That's just not something that I'm interested in the partner because
Got you.
I also like to play around. Like I'm like again, I can come off serious in moments and spaces, but then like the longer you're around me, you be like, this nigga's just silly. He just like to play around
Yeah,
or
like the
whatnot.
Corey Holcomb, you still want to you like to be
Oh no, I
serious,
need.
but I need the
But
Corey
then,
Holcomb.
I'm also going to want to just go inside like a whole hour of like some deep dive conversation. Like I'm a full range human being, and I want to make sure I have full
You
range
gotta be
human beings
well
around me.
balanced for sure.
Yeah,
Cause
and oh my bad.
and
Go
I'm
ahead.
gonna say women a lot of time too. Uh, well, I've noticed sometimes they can get stuck in. Just anybody can do, but I've just noticed this just my personally, some of the exes I've dealt with.
Johnny talking about women.
You'll see. Well, it's just certain women I know, but
What them black women do?
Stop trying. Let my man speak his mind. You trying to make this man not even speak his
Oh
mind
my,
because
you actually
goddamn,
right.
well,
I
not
shouldn't do that. You
Yeah.
right.
well, not because
you
this
gonna make this nigga start backtracking and moonwalking
well,
like a motherfucker.
because I'm thinking about a one specific ex that I've had.
Now he done broke it down to one
Come on,
person. See what you
Johnny,
do?
just say it. Just say it. Say a
Well,
person,
but
then
see,
and then
but it's just every time I
then
look
get
at
it,
every
please.
time I look at her story, it's just something negative. She crying about something, or it's just like
you be happy too, don't you?
Nah, I'm just like, damn, bro. I be like, I
Johnny,
gotta
like,
dodge the bullet, bro.
Yeah.
oh no, no. So for sure, that's definitely one that I'll do.
Cause every time I'm like, damn, bro. And then I think back to like when we was dealing with each other. It was like, damn, like I was caught up in all that negativity and all that shit. This shit was affecting my life,
Actually, you know,
My bad.
so
I know
when
you got one.
so when I look,
but I
I'm
got
like,
one.
damn, bro. I'm glad I moved on because I'm way more of a positive thinker now than like back then when I was dealing with her, and then I see, oh damn, I was, that might have been prohibiting some of my growth, and so and she wasn't even black, so I ain't even gonna do black women like that, but
Oh, she wasn't black.
Johnny really date to others. That's why he ain't brought one
this
around.
was a Hispanic chick.
All right, go
She
ahead,
was
Bray. I
Hispanic.
want you to hop in because I got
Oh,
one
yeah,
burning in
nah,
my
and
pocket too.
well, it's actually a completely different question. It's completely aside from where we just were. But it was something that's kind of been brought to my attention. So let me ask you this: would you first out what is the term when you get the surgery that women are getting to get the fat
BBL.
take
The BBLs.
BBLs? So let me ask you this: would you date a woman? Let's say
I ain't
you
interested.
can say it two different ways. So would you date a woman that had a with a BBL?
Nah, not I mean, I like natural women, so I prefer not to.
Nigga, this a yes or no
Nah,
question.
I mean, but I ain't gonna.
It's a yes or no question.
Hold on,
Would
stop.
you
Big,
date a
bro,
woman-
I'm single. I
real-
can date whoever. I could say no to right now, but I would never, and then leave out of this motherfucker and change my
Listen,
mind.
I'm
if I
real
really
for the
wanted
moment,
to.
and I'm gonna say, hey, leave him alone. He's trying to keep his options open, and
Oh,
I
yeah, I get it,
understand.
and I get it too. I
But
get it too.
if you ask me what I prefer natural women.
Nigga, Johnny
But
want a
there are
plastic
women
body.
who
Yeah.
have BBLs that have
No, he want thigh meat
very
booty.
Hold on, what would you say? Say it
no,
again.
there
Gut
are
booty.
women who have BBLs that have very successful careers. Like when they're
Wisdom,
not like the average. I know
That ain't
that's
at
the
all
portion.
what
We
any
weren't
that
talking
was.
about careers.
Ain't nobody
That ain't
worried about no
and that
successful
Can I finish?
careers.
nothing.
We weren't
Ain't
talking
nobody
about
worried
careers
no
at all.
career.
Can I finish?
Go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
Thank you. Okay. So what I'm saying is there are someone who have the BBLs that don't fall into the stereotypical BBL girl. Like they don't fall into like the bottle girl. They don't fall into like the Instagram model. There are women who get them and you can't really tell, but they are like high level women. But then you have the ones who are just like, the ones you see on social media. So there is different spectrums
The
when it
thing
comes
is,
to the
I want
BBL.
to if we gonna
Okay,
have these
I
conversations.
want to admit I wouldn't date a woman with a bad BBL, but we couldn't tell. Like if I could
If her
tell,
ass the thyroid
like
shield was
if I
off.
could tell,
Just
but
As
if
long
I
as it's
can't
good.
tell, like
Johnny don't mind if you fly back from Miami in that wheelchair with that bag.
hey, so you
And
gotta sleep on your knees for 6 months.
Johnny gonna be by your side. Johnny is there for you. Listen, Johnny,
I'm just saying, if I
how
could
Ray
tell,
Sherman say,
if
I
I
ain't
could
got no
tell,
type.
I mean, but if I can't tell, I ain't,
Yeah,
I ain't
dog. And
tripping.
then
Good
hold on, but
BBL,
let
only
me just
thing that he
let's
like.
just say this, bro. Like for the sake of conversation, I don't like to talk about the fact that there are some. When we use those, because you could say there are some everything. There are some motherfuckers that would eat human meat. Like that's
I
fact.
got you. But I guess
But
you're asking a very general question as well.
man, but the thing is, every single thing that we talk about could literally. There are some. That's like the if you would date a woman with kids. There are some women who have the best parenting agreement with it, and the kids won't have nothing to do with the entire thing. Like the kids would literally. It would be perfect. There, you can find that. I'm pretty sure that there's someone out there like that.
I think that's why you should ask, what do you prefer? Because there's like ideal situations where
Right.
like
And
ideally I wouldn't want to date a woman that got kids already, but if you know,
right. But yeah, nah. Well, I get it. I guess I'll also say my only rebuttal to that is that if we're speaking, and this is why I like to paint a scenario because it then gives me ability to be very specific. Because if a general question is asked, then I have to think through: are there people within this range that I actually would? And then I have to start pointing out different things. And I think the response that Off Mike gave is fair. I still wouldn't. I'm not interested really
Yeah,
in
no, I'm
dating.
not interested.
But that did give me something to think about. Where it's like, are when you ask that question, are you specific? Like, are you primarily talking about the women that get the BBL and the tropes that are associated closely with them? Because of those are the women for sure. I know that I'm not interested in it all. Which would be like the Instagram models, the bottle girls, the waitresses, the city girl shit, and all those things that are associated with that.
that's what you're asking.
Yeah, and,
Oh.
and, and that's like, and so I get the nuance in which she was presenting. The fact that there are also regular women that get this as more of a cosmetic thing, but are still on a lane of like just regular women per se. I just don't have an interest in dating anybody, any woman that has had cosmetic surgery in general.
Yeah, no.
That's kind of my thing,
And I
I'm
would
not really
100%
interested.
agree. But I guess
Even if you
I
couldn't
guess
tell.
where
Yeah,
it
'cause
kind
that's
of
also the
leads.
thing too. You won't always be able to
Yeah,
tell
like
if
even if
she's
you
had
couldn't
cosmetic
tell,
surgery.
Well,
because
then I don't know. If I don't know, then that's different.
okay,
But like,
that's what I said.
if I have learned that, well, hold on. Like if I already know in advance, I'm gonna go ahead and like X you out. Cool. Sorry.
Why is that?
I
Like, what
think
is your
that it
thing with
denotes
cosmetic
its
surgery?
own, and this isn't fully unpacked, but just off the top, I think that it denotes some level of like a thing, like a mental thing, in which, to me, it's just a red flag. Where I think that you're dealing with something internal that probably is going to take a couple different layers to get fixed, and I don't know if at this moment I'm that person for that. So I would probably just steer clear of it.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And see, the way I think of a thing, right? I think of a thing like if you are the type of person that makes said decision, then first, what was your reasoning behind it, and then what attitude? Because all right, so let me just say this: what I know a dude, right? And he was dating this chick, and they were together for a few years, and she was saving up her money to get one, and
To
she
leave his
got
ass.
one.
Did she leave him?
She got one, and pretty much, yeah. But she treated him like shit up until the end of, you know what I mean, the jump. And so like it's like it's a mindset.
Did she get the gastric bypass surgery?
I don't
also?
know which one. Honestly, I didn't even know. I
Imagine
was
them
still.
getting the gastric bypass with the BBL in 3 months. That's a whole new
Gastric
person.
Oh yeah,
bypass,
no, it was
like,
like the, the,
hold
the
on, wait a
gastric
minute.
joint is where
I
they
don't know
take
if
the
you
fat from the
can you
stomach
do
and do
that
it.
by
Yeah,
different
it was literally that. It was
Yeah,
literally
that's
that.
for big people.
Right. So imagine that big person, then
Becoming a
and
different
Oh, she
person.
done shit. Oh, she
and
done
then getting
switched
the
up
jump
on
on
them
on
totally.
the backside.
Oh, hey, bro. You should have saw that coming, bro. You should have bailed, bro. Because, like, yeah,
And that's the
like
thing.
in that
Oh,
circumstance, as far as the surgery, if you're using the surgery
right.
to become a different
That is
person,
the red
that's
flag.
that is
Like
the
that's one of
red
the
flag.
ones that's like that motherfucker's on the top of the charts. A
But
red
I
flag.
also know women that have, had kids and stuff, and sometimes
they get mommy makeovers.
I don't think it's
To
always.
me,
I don't think it's always a
there
red
wouldn't be I
flag.
wouldn't be a preference, but I could understand that part.
What
Like
did she
the
say? It's
women,
called a what now?
like the mommy
Mommy
makeover. Like
makeover.
you hear women that are definitely insecure. So I guess I have to backpedal some. They're
Yeah,
definitely insecure about like
I was
after they
finna get
have
him,
their
boy.
babies,
I was finna get him.
and then
What
like
happened?
once.
What, you was finna get me?
No, I
Oh,
quit.
Oh
go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. To where like they have their babies, and then like the stomach piece right there. No matter how many sit-ups and different things like that, they don't feel comfortable ever being inside like a tank top. They don't feel comfortable when they look in the mirror. X, Y, and Z. Just off of like the stretching of the skin that happens with a baby,
And their
and
breasts
it never
drop.
coming back. I don't know the
You
actual
said in the
term.
breast drop.
For a lot of women that I know who breastfeed, their breasts drop. So the mommy makeovers typically they'll get like a tummy tuck and like a breast lift.
I wouldn't hold that against a woman, not at all, because like I feel like I think that's
To me,
that's
I
the
get that a
advantage
little
of
bit
the
for
day and
sure.
age that we live in is technology and
Would it be a
being.
press? Would it be a
I think that.
preference? No, not at all.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a difference between
But I think
preferences
that
and.
does become a little bit more reasonable than
Right.
like trying to build an ant body.
It is more reasonable because she
Don't
literally
nobody
birthed
want a
your
bug's
child.
life.
So her body went through a lot. So if she wants to, cosmetically make it look better, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But yeah,
I don't know. I think. Well, I mean, if it was something that like was crazy, you know what I mean? If it was like crazy, what I'm thinking is maybe you talking about something like it's like a extra skin and all of that.
yeah,
shit.
like the thing that a lot of pregnant women that have had kids, some women snap back, but a
Yeah.
lot of women are really insecure about their stomach after having kids.
Yeah.
Like it's a
It's a
big thing
thing,
that
yeah.
you hear and see and
Mhm.
watch them talk about. And like even women that have kids, if you're conscious enough, you'll usually see that even if they show anything above here, it starts right at the belly, and they have everything kind of tucked and wrapped right there, and it's like it's a real thing.
Yeah.
To where like I
I ain't
as a
not,
man, I got to take a step back at that space.
yeah,
Yeah. I can see it at that point.
cause like I say, I like it's like women they do that's a beautiful thing that they do for
For
you
sure.
know humanity, and
Mhm.
so if you got to do something to help you feel right after that, ain't nobody finna red flag you.
Right. So I get this is another piggyback conversation. Might have went closer to the earlier conversation that we was having, but I was having a conversation with a homie, right? And they were speaking about just like some of the hardships that right now at the moment that they're going through when it comes down to like dealing with, unfortunately, like the baby mama drama shit, right? And in which like they're really like it's seemingly their partner is really really tough to deal with. And when I was hearing it, the first thing that kind of like popped in my head was, I wonder if there were things that you could have recognized early on that knowing what you know now, you'd have been like, damn, I should have still the sign was there. I just didn't notice it at that moment.
Oh yeah.
Um,
I mean,
go ahead.
I think the signs always be
Always
there.
there.
People
Yeah.
just get caught up in that moment. You be about to, slay something. It be people. It be a lot of different variables that go on to why you keep on doing what you know you shouldn't do.
Facts.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, people are mostly themselves. Unless like something traumatic happens or something crazy, people usually stay pretty consistent
What they
as
say
far
when
as
they show you who they are, believe them.
believe them. Yeah. So I mean, and then sometimes you might. Sometimes you just thinking, with your Johnson, and you just thinking with your dick. You ain't you ain't even know that person like that. You was just doing what you was doing, and then that's why you also got to be careful there too, because you might not even know
Definitely.
who you laying with.
You know, one thing that I say to answer that too.
Hmm.
I think one of our biggest problems, and I think like women and men have this problem, is we'll date somebody based on what they could be. We'll be
Yes,
sitting there looking
I can see
forward
that.
that this is going to okay, but oh, sooner or later he'll get this, or sooner or later she'll understand this, and
Hmm.
we're basing it on like a level of growth that may not, and a lot of times it don't come.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You're literally basing who you're
Hmm.
going to be with based on like what they could be.
And I think some of it
Facts.
also too, like people will try to mold someone into like who they want them to be.
Hmm.
So instead of you taking this person at face value and you know what they are presenting to you, you'll think, oh well, I could get him or her to do X, Y, and Z, or
Hmm.
oh, I can try to change them to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like
Exactly.
some people kind of will do that. I don't know if it's the healthiest thing to kind of do to morph yourself into the view of someone else, but some people will alter. But for the most part, like you have to take someone at face value. Whatever they're presenting to you, whatever they're showing you, is kind of who they are. Unless you're still young enough, then obviously you know you have room to grow, and mature, and things like that. And facets of you are going to change, but for the most part, you're a complete person that has you know your own ways and things.
Right.
Especially at
Yeah.
our age.
I definitely agree. I
Hmm.
think that we're now at the age where we have like such hindsight clarity, but I'm also not going to like pretend like I'm a like this hasn't been a direct thing that I can like maybe Johnny was just talking about it a second ago. And we have those exes where it's like, whew, I just got lucky, I escaped.
Mm.
Like I talk about my Maury show situation all the time. I'll be looking at that story now and be like, I escaped. Like I luckily because of yes, you a lot of times, especially when you're younger, you think that oh we're still growing and maybe they'll grow out of these things, or maybe this person is, you know what I mean, just inside a specific stage of like where they're at. But yeah, like
I mean, just to be real, I mean, a lot of people you be with a bad woman, you know you're not supposed to be just because you know you got something guaranteed. You know,
huh?
they ain't
Say it
even.
again.
It's you know that I don't necessarily need to be with this person, but this just who I got for now. And
Mm.
and
Well,
instead
now
of
that toxic shit when you're younger also is it's semi fun. I'm not
but
gonna like
but
pretend
that's what I'm saying. But like
like
if you ask why you
there was
ended up
things
with
that I
the
selected for at a younger age that I would not do for shit now.
Mm.
This is a pure fact.
yes, but that could have
And
in
if you got caught up in the
situations that
wrong
could have right,
situation
yeah,
when you was younger like that, that shit can end up being hell on wheels years later.
years down the road, yeah, just
If
for
that
being.
person didn't eventually evolve and become a better person.
And it was just because we was young, you know, not necessarily, you know, making the wrong decision. It's just I already know, you know, I got this, you
Mm.
know, lined up. I ain't gotta go, you know. But that person shouldn't might not be who you need to be with. But just cause you want to bust a nut real quick, you just gonna stay with that person.
Oh yeah, that.
Piggybacking off what you said about that person evolving to a better person, sometimes for an individual to evolve into a better them, they have to leave you.
Mm.
So there's certain situations where like your partner can be the person that's kind of holding you back, can be the person that's limiting your I don't want to say your ability because you can still do things outside of your partner, but sometimes they can hinder you just in general from your mindset, like you were saying earlier with them being negative and those type of things. So sometimes in order for a person to become a better person, they do might have to leave you to have their space to grow.
No, they usually be the
That's
same
fact.
person afterward. You look back 5 years and they still putting other niggas through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
Them motherfuckers be still putting niggas through the ringer. I ain't gonna hold you. So I guess that kind of takes us to an interesting space where, as y'all was talking about that, it brought me to this perspective or thought. Um, at what age do you stop looking at potential and just take it as it is what it is?
Mm. At age.
Man,
Or what time, what moment, what place of maturity? I don't know if y'all want to put an age to it, but let's stay with that age
It
at this
should be
moment.
age. I think there
Okay.
should be an
I think it
age
should be
where
a
you.
range though. I think it's like for each person. 'Cause I think you gotta be in that late 20s to early
Yeah,
30s.
I'm think.
Like
I ain't gonna go into 30s, bro. I think that by the time late late 20s is about
28.
yeah. About and I was thinking that same
You don't
exact
think that
number.
women are dating men still in the late 20s, early 30s off potential still?
What
No,
potential
but
you
it's not
got
that
left?
they aren't doing it. We're saying should they? At what point should you stop dating people for potential?
So, all right, I'm gonna let y'all finish answering. Then I have a building question
Oh,
for
that's
you.
crazy because at
No,
the
because
end
you
of the
said
day,
28. I think the ending age should be about like it's like I say, because we talking about people and men and
And
women.
I said, is it different for men than it is for women?
Yeah, because we've established, I
You
think
think so?
I think that it is
women
too.
mature faster than men. So I think like
I don't know
for
about
me,
that.
it goes to like 28 to about 32, 33 is when
Mm.
you got to stop. Because I can see a man at 30, 31 dating a woman that's 25 for potential. You know,
Say this
maybe
one more time.
like a guy like that's just turned 30, 30, 31, your early 30s, and you dating a woman that might be in her mid 20s or late. I could maybe see you still dating her for potential, but anything later than that, I think you got to kind of look at.
Potential what though? What is it that you think that a man would be
I'm just
dating a woman for potentially for her to do what better in the future?
potentially to be a wife. I mean,
Mm.
potentially be like a life partner.
Yeah, I think that goes down to like whatever that man's requirements are to be a partner per se.
Mm.
I feel like at 30, I've still dated women thinking I can maybe change them. Or maybe if this, I can see her. But like now, I'm to the point where, I'm like, I'm
Mm.
seeing what I'm seeing. It's not, that's why I say into that early 30s too. I think it should be like 28 to 32 because once you get past that,
And the thing for me is like I don't like to use like I can understand what you're saying. You're putting it based on your experiences and kind of validating it, or at least it seemingly validating it based on what you've done.
well, not
But
just
I'm the
I'm
type.
saying just I mean I'm just one person, but there's a lot of different experiences out there. So I don't think it's just one answer for all the experiences. Everybody mature differently. Everybody, reach certain understandings at different times, but
Yeah.
based on what you've gone through as a person. So that's why we put that range on it. But I think if you're 35 still dating for potential, okay, I can see how
Mm.
that's problematic.
So
Mm.
I think this goes to a building question, where and this might hit closer to men, but so at what point is somebody not dating you for potential? Like at what
Mm.
point as a guy have you reached what you feel is your potential? Right now, do you feel like you've reached your potential, or is your partner to an extent still dating
You
you
for
for
potential,
potential
and
at
that's
this
why,
moment as well?
and that's the reason why I asked the question: is it different for
Mm.
men than women? Because I think that like as a man, you're probably dated for potential like throughout. Like it's probably until because you know what I mean if your potential it was still as far as what
You're
how do
saying
I
men
say?
have been are being dated for your potential the whole time.
I think that a lot of men are. A lot of men pretty are dated because of the fact that you'll be able to get from this place to the next place and from that place to the next place.
But at what point are men being dated for what they're actually providing? Like, I think there's a lot
Mm.
of men that are like actually bringing, like, even you might have way more potential, but you're still bringing
Get
a
him,
bunch to
Johnny.
the
Mm.
table. And so I think women, like, even if you got more potential, there's still women that are dating you for
For
the shit that you're actually
doing
bringing to
now,
the
I could.
Mm.
table.
Oh yeah, so I would assume that
So
that.
I mean, like, I think it might change for, a woman because I think when
So
she,
shit, let's ask Taj.
At what age? At what point?
Yeah, at what
Or we're in a
age?
relationship? What exactly am I answering?
Do the same. I guess the same way we attempted to answer it at age.
yeah, at what point, yeah.
I would say, I think as women get closer to 30, that range, they are dating more intentionally for a husband and kids, if that's what they're looking for. Because, let me not say, there's some people that do X, Y, and Z, but when you're talking about like actual potential, I think it is around like 30, like
Mm.
that late 20s, 30s range. And that's just like based off of like my friend groups, women that I know, after they've like went through their education and things like that, and they're like settled. Now they're like, okay, I want a guy to be my husband, for me to have kids, for us to progress.
Can I ask? So by potential, would that be defined as um, a baseline of being able to provide at a specific mean? And of
Yes,
course, not like obviously you want them to go up from there, but
yes,
it's like you're at a specific mean. You want them to be able to actually provide,
yes. So
and
there's
not like the what I mean. Like if you're going like the starving artist thing, where like I feel like as I know my 20s, I got off with this one. I wasn't like just crazy high earner in my 20s, right? I got off on that artist shit though.
Man had a
Like
couple.
that potential
Man
bag.
had a couple classic
I had a nice
tapes.
little potential bag back in the day.
Man
You
had
know what I
them
mean?
tapes.
And like that got me through the ringer a little bit, and it got me to like some decent little prospects because they was fucking with the potential. But I also knew, like, for me, it was a light bulb that was like, hey, getting time, like, you got to start putting them some meat and potatoes on the damn table or whatnot. And for me, that was a realization that I had that, you know what I mean, that potential shit's only going to go. And I know for me, I put my clock was at 30. Like 30, I got to start accumulating some of these things that are tangible items that the partner that I want who actually want, because of then, like, I know that I have like these specific requirements for the partner that I want, so I have to make sure that I'm at least at the baseline for something that a partner that I want would want in a man.
Oh yeah.
Right.
And but I mean that's why I say like a lot of like women by the time they get to 30 when it comes to dating men, like men are actually like a lot of men are providers even though there's a lot of potential on the table, but there is like a lot of men go through and they're actually like real providers regardless of whatever potential they have. You know, so what you could be, oh, you might be a millionaire, but I'm making, you know, whatever right now and taking care of the bills and paying, you know, and paying and I take care.
I think that's a fallacy.
Huh?
I think that's a fallacy. I don't think most 30-year-old men are like complete providers.
No, that's
Statistics
true.
say it.
Yeah, no.
Like how much people make say it. The amount of men and women that's cohabitating and both paying bills say it. Like that's a fallacy. Like there are like the few men that earn high enough to what they can, and they're in scenarios in which like they are blessed to do it, or like like that's what they have to do. But in general, when you look at like your friend group that's at 30, or even like just put it at 33, is the majority of them single providers inside their family, or do both people work? I would say I put inside like the 85, 90 percentile of all my friends. It's both people putting in.
Most people working, yeah. I mean,
And it look like old head senior got something to say.
Oh, this the real old head.
Yeah, this is old head.
Real
senior.
old head.
old
Step up
head
to the mic.
senior.
Okay. I hear exactly what you all are saying, but I have a different perspective because I'm actually an old head.
Uh-oh.
So what y'all are saying is, I think you're turning it on his head. I agree with Quintel. He had a point. I agree with it. There was a fallacy that you stated because women and men are very different. So when women look at men, they look at men that are in there at least around age 40 and up to have been to the point where they're established now. So when they looking for a man that pretty much that's in a position to take care of them, they're not looking for y'all 30s. They're not looking for y'all 30s because statistically speaking, y'all haven't got there yet. And even in your early 40s, you
I
probably
guess it's the
still
Kevin
ain't.
Samuels point that goes along with that.
Even in your early 40s, you probably still ain't there, but you are close enough to whereas in a woman that's like Taj say, to a woman that's in her mid 20s up to around 30, 32, where she can still bear children or whatever. She's looking for that brother that's 40 plus because of that factor. You know what I'm saying? If she wants a man that makes a certain type of money, because by the time you get to your 40s, you're close enough to making that type of money, or you're close to your top dollar. You know what I'm saying? You're close. Anybody could draw a line from where you are at right then. If you've been doing things the way you're supposed to, if anybody in your, I'm gonna say mid 40s, say like 45, anybody can draw a line to what your potential is gonna be. So the woman that's looking for somebody that pretty much that she can just walk into his life and be ready to have children, and that man being able to take care of her, that's the age group she starts in right there. You know, if you in your as a man, if you in your 20s, forget it. Your 30s is where you start to turn. So unless she just don't want to date an older man, then in your 30s you might be attractive to her. But you definitely not going to be attractive to her in an age bracket to whereas in a man would be attracted to a woman.
And these are the women that are looking for traditional providers, in essence, what you're saying.
And
So
then,
what
but
old head said is, in layman's term, get you an old head.
I could kind of see
He's
that
advocating
too.
for himself. I feel you. I get
I
you.
could kind of see that too because I remember when I was like when I had
Man,
first
Put some
joined.
season on that beard.
When I had first,
man out here repping for the 40 plus club.
I feel it.
Hey,
I love the perspective.
y'all still
I
alive
agree with it.
too.
I can see where you're coming from because I remember when I had first joined the dating app, my age range was because at the time I joined, I think it was like 27. My age range was 32 to like 38. That was like my range of the guys that I knew that would be. In my mind, you were more mature. This is what I was thinking when I was 27. In my mind, you would be more mature. You would be financially stable. At that point, you probably would have already had a kid or two. So kids would kind of be up in the air. You wouldn't really, you would want to like experience more life. Like, far as like you'll want to be able to travel because you would have the financial means to do that. We would be able to just have a little bit more leisure. In my mind, that's what I was thinking when I was 27. So that's where my age range was.
yeah,
But I wasn't looking for like someone to take care of me. I was just looking for the ability to like be
No,
able to
a
experience,
baseline.
and
experience life and do things.
And I'm glad that you brought up, and we actually got to that point of like traditional women that's looking for a traditional relationship, John.
Yeah.
And the thing is that I don't know what I'll say is I don't believe that most women who think, or let's say most modern women who talk about traditional relationships, I don't think that they actually understand what that job is. Because it sounds like you're
Oh, yeah.
getting out
For
of a
sure.
job. I think you think you're getting out of a job, but you're not getting out of a job. You're actually just applying for a new one. And I don't think that
Let
they
them know,
really
real.
understand.
Tell them when you come through that door, you kicking it open and laying low.
No, at the end, it's not even. It's not
Laying
even that
low.
point.
Come on,
It's
bro.
not even to that point.
Let's
But
go.
No. What it is that you have to understand, and then thinking long term too, because what you sign up for is to take care of people.
Not
You've
bad.
signed up to take care of people for a living.
Right now, it like your job ain't get easier. It's just a different.
Yeah, industry. You just
yeah,
went into a
there you go.
completely different industry. You're literally signing up to take care of people for the remainder of your life.
That's a great. Listen, I don't know.
But isn't
I,
that regardless?
I
Isn't
just
that
want, I
in
want
your
to, I want to get
relationship?
on this camera. Tell me you got to put it on my camera. I don't always agree with old head, but this is a point that I actually sponsor.
This nigga, I don't need no fucking sponsorship.
Usually him and his traditional points, I'd be like, I agree with this one.
I mean, that's just what it is. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. And then you got to think about
One
doing
time
this
for the
long term.
traditionalists.
You got to think about doing that long term. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you can't just check out of it. It's not
Facts.
like just like
That
if you
nigga can't
decide
stop
to-
providing.
Exactly. He can't just start just taking days off and just, you know what I mean, opt out of his job. You know what I mean? It's still a job. And I think
No-
that's
no
the part.
days
It
off.
sounds good. It sounds good. So like a lot of things sound good. Shit, most things sound good if it's like to the benefit of yourself.
So I have a question. When you answered, was it from a traditional standpoint? Because I did step away for a little bit.
No, actually, my statement was just a fact. It's just
Man say, hey, I don't know what standpoint.
Yeah, he said, fuck modern, fuck
you
traditional.
Can,
It's a fact.
you can come from traditional. You can come from today's to women. You can come from whatever spectrum you want to come from. The statement I made is a fact. Women do not look at men that's like I say in their early to I'm gonna say mid 20s to around their middle 30s. They don't look at them as high earners. They don't look at them as say stability. They look at a man that's around 45 or older that's supposedly quote unquote already established as stability. That's where they look for it at.
Or
So
you
it
saying that they
depends.
should be looking for it at that age? Because I would say that a lot of
So it's a
people
lot of
that I've
it's a
talked
lot
to,
of, it's a lot of
they
Old
young
head
expect
versus
it.
old head.
They expect
I
it
like
even
this.
at our age.
Yeah.
The expectation is that we are already stable and have extra. You know, have the extra finances to.
That is wishful thinking.
And
I mean, statistically speaking, that is just wishful thinking.
I agree with
I
that.
I would
Because
also
agree.
at
I
that
would agree.
age group, you are not there yet.
I also
So
think
if they,
I think it goes to the age. I'm gonna ask. So you think it goes to the age group though? If you think we're talking about young women in the younger, like younger to mid, are they looking at guys that's 10? Because Taj originally said 32 to 38. She didn't.
yeah, but
So
that's
but that's the age group we're in right now. As far as like there's she.
Shoot your shot.
and see,
Say it to the camera, Johnny. Look at the
Hey, you
camera.
gotta point your
Let them know how
specific
old
one
you
out.
is and what you bringing to the table.
Well, no, but I'm saying, but I
I
think
like
there's
to
a lot
start
of
by
women
saying
that
that
do
Johnny.
look at guys in their 30s from 32 to 38 as far as
yeah,
stability and not and are more relatable. But I think if you look at women in their 30s and 40s, of course they're gonna look for older women, but I think or older men, but younger women, I think they do look at the guys in their
yeah, but you're
30s.
talking about women that are just out of college, looking at you. You talking to you see the
I ain't
age
interested.
difference? They
Oh, hell
just
no.
out of college looking
Crazy.
Well,
at you.
I
But
think
the
that
women that are your age are not looking for you.
And
I
that's why.
Not in not in seeing
oh wait,
stability.
I have a
And
I
that's
have a
why I
pushback
wanted
a
to
little
frame it
bit.
as a question because I ain't want to push
Okay.
back, but I felt like it was a little bit of
Yeah, yeah.
I
And I
stand
agree.
straight with your
If you
back,
got a
man. Come
woman
on,
that's in
stand on
her
your shit.
man. Come
if
on,
you
man.
Now I'm
got
fucking with you.
if you got a woman that's around 40, she not looking for me.
Facts.
Because she want an even older man
Right.
that she know is established. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So with women looking
I got
at
to push
men
back.
and younger women looking at men and younger women are looking at it all wrong. It's been like that throughout history. If you look at it, it's been out there. It's been like that throughout history. Number one, high earning men that are already established, their window of picking women or whatever, it doesn't get smaller. It gets larger because number one, you're older, so older women will look at
Nigga,
you.
I got the rebuttal.
Younger
You
I
women
got a
look at you
question.
for
I
a
just got
different
one question
reason.
for him.
Your spectrum of women, it doesn't get smaller; it gets larger.
Can I ask you this? Old head.
Look,
Let me just ask him. Let me
yeah,
ask him. Cause he
but
seemed
no, I'm
like an
fucking with
OG. He seemed like he know it. So when you get into like you say your window get larger, what does a man in his 40s is he looking more for the younger or is he looking for a woman more
Oh,
that's
before
on
before you,
his
because that's going to take us to a different way. I do want to rebuttal a little bit of what he said to like just add a different perspective to the conversation. I think that what you're saying holds credence, and I think that a lot of it is from like I don't know if you're familiar with Kevin Samuels, but a lot of that goes a little bit in line with some of like what Kevin Samuels speaks about. My pushback that I would give though is that a woman that is providing as well, her threshold starts to tend to seep down a little bit more. And these are the ones that are a little bit closer to like talking to their age and you know what I mean, maybe a year or two older. Most women ain't trying to date a younger, but like those ones, the ones that actually kind of like are like the career driven women and shit like that. Those women probably also aren't even really compatible with guys that's way
No,
older
for
than them.
sure.
So like I think that to me that's the one pushback that I would give is that depending on which way that woman is kind of set up to want to be a partner matters as well.
whether she's modern
I
or
don't look at that
traditional.
as a pushback. I look at that as just I look at that as an add on to what I was saying.
Got you.
Because you're right. A woman, if you look at women that are out there working and making their own money, they are attracted to men that are closer to their age because you have two incomes. But I was speaking on just today's most pretty much today's women. They pretty much want to be taken care of. And if you're looking at that, you're not looking at somebody in your age, not even in your decade. You're looking to the next. You see what I'm saying?
Now I
But
get you.
like you
And then
said,
That
and
if
makes
a
sense.
woman
That
making
makes
her
sense.
money and she doing her thing and she bringing something to the table, then she's probably gonna be closer to her age in what she chooses.
I think that the expectation. I don't know like a lot of women that I'm around, right? I don't hear a lot of women saying that they want to date older guys. They really want guys that are closer in their age, you know what I mean? But they have the expectation that the guy is like he's going to be able to provide and perform as a guy that is older than he is.
Hey, real, can I say this would be a good time to plug game night. I feel like we actually had this clip. Go check the To Be Fair Instagram. It's kind of going viral right now. It's
Yeah.
some comments happening where the question was proposed.
It's going crazy.
Should, and then Johnny he was like, should
Should
women date guys
should.
that are older than them?
And you know the messed up thing is I had wrote the question down, so it was my question, right?
Yeah,
And then the way that their response to it right off the back, I was thinking like, dang, we ain't even gonna get the answer. Their initial response, if you hear it, I'm glad that my boy Johnny just actually went ahead and answered the question. You know what I mean? As if we was gonna have to answer the question instead of, because the mood in the room, you could tell where, you know
That's
what I
a
mean?
crazy question though, 'cause I remember picking it, plugging it. I plugged it.
yeah, not
Yeah.
like yeah,
That
specifying
should.
a little bit.
And that's why I put the should on there because it gives it gives you some leeway. You know,
To make it a conversation.
I'm a specialist. On down in the post getting out that box. So
This nigga.
This is a fact.
No, that is a fact. That is a fact.
When we were at your homecoming, your friend CJ had made a statement when we were talking about dating with age differences.
Okay.
And he said it's different if you're dating if you're dating a woman that's younger but she has older siblings as opposed to you dating a woman that's younger and she's the oldest out of her siblings. And that just made me think of this because I wonder if it's like, because like for myself, I tend to date men that are older than me. I don't know if all my friends do that, but that's something that I've done. But I've also
are you the youngest sibling or the oldest?
I'm technically, well, on my mom's side, I'm the youngest and I have all brothers. On my dad's side, I'm the middle. I have a younger brother.
So you're kind of both.
Kind of.
Kind of both. Okay.
But I was just thinking, like, in my mind, if that had something to do with it, because I've always been around older men. Even my family, majority of my cousins are male and they're older than me. So I don't know.
Yeah. It seems like that dynamic, you probably maybe have grown in a environment where it's the men are older than you've always had like a more, they've had more a leadership because they were older. Did y'all live in the same household together? With the older brothers?
Yeah, it was me, my mom, my brothers.
Okay, so that may be something that, fellas, while you vetting, you may want to start understanding that lineup of how they all came.
What they line up in.
You know what I
I
mean?
think
We got to
that
start doing some extra research these days. It's some extra research
I mean,
that's going in
it's because the
these
information
things.
out there.
So
Yeah.
I'm still confused. If we supposed to get a big sis or the youngest sis?
The younger sister.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you ain't catch that? Yeah,
If
it's
she
the
has
younger one.
sisters, because I have no sisters.
Oh, okay. All right. That's what I'm asking. The younger sis. We gotta get younger sis.
Yeah, nah.
Old head said, "Don't get older sis."
Yeah.
He said, "Don't get older sis."
I can understand the logic. You know what I mean? I can understand it.
The
It's just
younger
linear.
sister. Okay.
Got
Hey,
you.
these are notes that I'm.
Yeah,
Especially
because
speaking,
then,
yeah.
yeah, because looking at my friends, the one who are the oldest siblings, they tend to date like around their age. It might be like a 1 or 2 year difference, but for the most part, their mates are pretty
Even
much
my older sister
close in
dates
age.
a guy that's around her age.
And she's the oldest.
Out of me and her, yeah. Well, it's only me and her. So.
Yeah. I don't know if that has a direct correlation, but it's interesting when you look at like the dynamics
is.
around you.
Gotcha. So Johnny, did we land a plane?
I think that's a good spot to leave it at.
No, bro, you got to say to put a pin in it, bro. That's the classic juice.
I ain't trying to put a pin in everything.
Yeah,
man.
you gotta
Like,
put a
we ain't
pin
gotta
in
put a pin
everything,
man.
Before you
okay.
put a pin in it, though, I do want to double back.
Uh-oh.
So
Uh-oh.
Get him.
Who done messed up?
nobody's messed up. So previously in the conversation, y'all like I'm the Grim Reaper or something. Like I'm just coming here to deliver sentences and
I
things.
agree.
Johnny's scared of Cam Taj. He's scared of it.
No, but I do want to double back because earlier in the conversation, I made a statement that sometimes like the person has to leave you to progress, right? And my thought process for saying that was I have a friend who her and the guy broke up, but ever since they broke up, he's been flourishing. Like God, he looks amazing. Like you can see it in his skin. He grew a beard. He went to the gym. Like he literally has got himself
He
together.
got his credit right out of it.
He elevated, and so she had said, "Yo, like he looks so good now that we broken up," and I was like, "Yeah, because you're not stressing him out." So
And you
No,
ain't
I
got
do-
a chance either.
no, I
It's
do
over
think
for
that
you.
like when you're thinking about dating someone, and I know like many people take pride in like their partner, like they want to make sure their partner looks good so they can show them off and they can be proud of them and things like that. I do think that when people are dating, you also need to realize the way you treat your partner is going to show on the way that your partner looks, so their appearance, right? So that might not always be the case, but example would be like Krishan Rock and Blueface. They
Yeah.
both look
Mm.
crazy and they both treat each other crazy.
No,
You
this is a
know,
fact.
but when you have like a relationship that is healthy, then both people look good and they look elevated.
I
So what
see
I'll say
old
is
buddy
that
got just had two
ladies,
black eyes.
men. So ladies, if your man is starting to go bald, it's your fault.
No,
All
that might
right.
be genetics.
It might be genetics.
Right.
If that
Men, fellas, if your
that
lady
hairline
started,
if that hairline receding,
yeah.
That might be genetics.
Old head rocking the Scully over there.
Fellas, if your lady is starting to develop that fupa,
You stressing out.
you putting her through some stuff. Like you
Quite
just got
possibly.
you possibly she's stress eating.
Hold on, though. Let's not X out the fact that, like, you know what I mean? Generally, women like food, too. Women like food. So I think that we may need to, or not we, I think that there may be an adjustment that may have to happen. If you Tone or A Dot, his brother, you know what I mean? This man said he literally work out so he can eat what he want. That's his
now
whole
that's
reason
the
for
way,
working out.
and that's the thing though.
So
Like,
if we hopefully we could transpose a picture of A Dot's brother, but his brother has muscles in his head also. Like he just got them everywhere.
I ain't never seen it.
So yeah.
He was like, bro, he probably was about, growing up, he's probably about $135, $140.
Then he turned
Now
to
he
Arnold
out there,
Schwarzenegger.
bro, swole.
Turned
I'm
to
talking
Mr.
about,
Universe.
he probably about 2 and some change at this point, but like,
How tall bro
yeah,
is?
he probably,
But like the neck, like the
Like,
muscles on his
about my
neck
height.
got muscles and shit.
Okay, and just
Yeah.
just
Is he a
diesel.
bodybuilder?
might as well be.
He in the military and he just want to be strong now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, Johnny.
What's the question? What we,
When you was laying in the plane and putting the pin in some shit.
Yeah, I thought a pen was.
oh,
Yeah, Taj had to
we
get a
done
clip off
we done
real
went
quick.
somewhere else. So no, I ain't know we was finished. But like, we'll land the plane right there. Well, I guess it's a good time for us to go to Who Asked You Anyway. We'll throw it to Off Mic Taj.
Off cam,
Off
Taj.
cam.
Thank you,
Off
thank
cam,
you.
off mic, my bad. I ain't off cam Taj. Let me not mess the name up.
So I was talking to my coworker recently, and she was disclosing to me that sometimes it feels like her husband is hard for her to talk to about issues in their relationship. She feels like anytime she would bring things up, he gets very defensive, argumentative, and he tends to like kind of diminish the way she feels because some of the stuff is hurtful. But when she expresses like those hurt feelings, then he says that she's a crybaby, not cryberry, a crybaby, and she's having a hard time trying to like have a conversation about things that are bothering her in their relationship. It's not to the point where like she's trying to divorce him or anything, but she really just wants to have a conversation to get them on the same page because obviously she values the marriage and she sees the benefit of them being together and all these things. And so she's just trying to figure out how can she approach him. So I guess my question is like for men, how should a woman approach you about things to where you aren't so defensive? Is it like something that she's doing or is it more like an internal thing with him? How does that really work?
Like I said, I don't know them people, but just with anything, like if you want to communicate, you gotta figure out their communication style. Like so, and if it's relationship, I think a lot of times people forget that friendship part about it, and you should just whatever their thing is, where they can bond over like on some friendship stuff. They should probably, or she should probably go there first, and then when they're in that space, ask them whatever question or whatever on her mind. But it's just about just it's communication and knowing how to communicate with people, just how to bring up those sensitive subjects, how to hold people accountable, but also have that certain type of empathy, especially if it's your partner. You wanna, you wanna have that friendship there and be able to have that open communication. So you gotta get to that friend level and then have that conversation.
So Johnny, when you're with a partner, when is a good time for her to present a grievance with you to where you wouldn't feel on edge or anything like that?
A good time. I mean, I ain't gonna say any time's a good time, but
So I've heard like somebody had gave like this suggestion before when it was like, hey, you want to talk to your guy right after y'all have sex. bring up whatever that grievance is. I was like, nah, that's probably not the best idea.
Nah.
Like usually niggas right after that
Yeah.
point, you kind of like,
Well, you one track minded after that. Like after sex.
what's your one track? After say, I just want to go to sleep.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
all right.
like, yeah, that's
Like I ain't like anything else that after
that's
that is kind
usually
of like
my
an annoyance
one track
a little bit.
mind is like I didn't knock
All right, so
it
now-
down,
but-
let me go
but-
to sleep.
Does that give you like a placement of like the idea? I think that another suggestion I was given was like maybe after you done fed him a really good meal and he's
I was
really
just
full
gonna
and
say
content.
like it sometime around like food or like eating a dinner or lunch or
That's
sharing a meal together.
Okay.
Because once you eat together, and it's a good, especially if it's a
good meal, exactly.
and everybody you like that would be a really good
You be
time
open to her
bring-
nagging you.
Why I gotta be nagging?
And see,
Exactly.
that's the part.
I'm only nagging
Exactly. Why I gotta be nagging? But no, I done ate a good meal. I'm open to talk about whatever.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, especially and that's what I'm telling you. Yeah, you fix that favorite dish. You know what I mean? You already know what I like to eat.
Y'all
My
know
favorite
me.
joint.
You make some good spaghetti for me. Feed it for me.
Spaghetti juice.
No, and speaking of spaghetti, what are your top 5 meals that you make?
Spaghetti.
Hey, fucking spaghetti.
Oh Lord. I don't know. I think that right now we might have, in addition to the segment, we have an Ask the Audience member right now. I think old head senior.
Senior old head.
He got a couple
question.
more. He got a couple more grays in his beard than old head junior over here. So it
Junior
looked like you got a
catching up
question.
to
Let's
him,
go to
though.
that Ask
Oh,
the
yeah,
Audience
I'm catching
segment
up.
real quick.
Actually, I don't have a question. I have a comment about Taja.
Uh-oh.
question. Speaking from an old head point of view, the way I see what's going on in the relationship that she was talking about is that when she come to him, he gets defensive. He feel like that she's questioning the way he run his house, or the way he reacts or handles the relationship.
His
So
leadership.
to a man, you basically challenging my position in this relationship. So best thing, I agree with you guys too. The food thing, that's good. But once you get him fed and good, you sit down at the table with him, and then you humorize the conversation.
That's a good one.
And when you go into the conversation, it's not about you and him. It's about your girlfriend and her dude. And you make it
They
kind of
didn't
like
like
a
that.
joke.
They ain't
So
like that.
therefore, you can, when you come into, but not your actual girlfriend, your
Yeah.
your make believe girlfriend.
Yeah.
You don't talk about, you talking about yourself. Your relationship and his relationship. So what you do is you want to get him humorous. So he feel good, he done ate, you make kind of a jokey joke, and then the scenario that you have a problem with, you present it to him like it's somebody else, and you laughing
They ain't
about it, and then you ask him how would he address it.
Old head. I try.
My-
in the previous
my only
episode,
thing with that is I'd rather you just approach me directly, after the
Yeah,
meal.
I know me specifically.
I'd rather you just
I don't
just say what's on
personalize
this.
metaphors.
Yeah, but see, we're not talking about you, and we're not talking about you. We're talking about her man. So what I'm saying is, he's taking offense.
Oh, I get what you're
You
saying.
see
Like
what I'm saying?
specifically with like this overly defensive guy.
Exactly.
Okay.
Gotcha,
Exactly.
gotcha. I
So,
get you.
Once,
That's
like you said,
fair,
hey,
fair.
feed him. He feel good.
Fair,
He
fair,
calm. Make it out of makes a humorous gesture or whatever, and then bring
Y'all
the
niggas
situation.
ain't shit.
Bring the
Just so you
situation
know.
to him.
Just so you know,
So-
y'all niggas
Who ain't
ain't shit.
So
I literally said the same fucking thing.
Ooh.
The last episode, I said, and y'all niggas was talking about what was your whole thing? Pretty much, you was about to give him the same thing.
Well, no, because
that
so what he did was present
outside of yourself.
He made
no. He made it, and this is what I was talking to you about earlier.
specified it.
Is that like he presented it because I was giving him the exact same pushback. He made a nuance that made sense where this is now outside of me.
Nigga.
You gonna let me finish?
Let him finish.
You're right. Like you getting worked up because of like it. Nuances make a big difference. And this is where I was telling you about the whole little general thing. Where do I agree with that in general? No. But if you have a partner that is when you are presenting things to them specifically
over this- over
and they not fucking with it and now we're looking for other options, Does this seem like this is a plausible
Bruh.
option?
I know
Yes.
you ain't got my back.
Doesn't it-
I don't want
like
nobody
this?
to have my back.
Like
At the end of the
in general, I think that you should be straightforward with your partner and say it. But if that's not working and you have to look for other options, and somebody says, "Well, maybe you should make it a joke and talk about other," then it's like you have to be open for other things if plan A doesn't work. Yes,
What,
bro.
where are you mad at, Red?
I ain't even
Like,
mad.
tell
I ain't even
tell
mad. I'm just over the conversation altogether. I'm just over the conversation altogether. Literally.
Hey,
Literally.
does that not seem fair right there? What I'm saying?
This is the To Be Fair show.
Right,
So
like I can disagree with something, but if you present a scenario where it makes sense because we've already tried what I said and we're saying it didn't work, then I'm like, oh, well, I guess that's right.
I guess what it is
It's
that I'm
presentation.
speaking from well, at least when I was speaking, I wasn't speaking about, and literally he made it not about you. That's really where when it came to where it wasn't about you and your specific scenario. That's kind of where you could kind of see where he was talking about. Because at the end of the day, when even in the
That's not
scenario
the
that I was talking
differentiation.
about, it was literally the fact that how you different ways that you can, and remember I said you sometimes you got to go around the back door, right? And then that was literally the same exact fucking thing that I was saying. Was not trying to hear it. Was not trying to hear it.
Well,
who wasn't trying to hear it?
Presentation.
And it wasn't
Well, no,
even presentation. You literally
I
said
don't-
the same thing I said.
But again, literally, I disagree with it if that's like your technique. And again, if we
You
Hey,
said
let-
I disagree with
And
No,
you.
see,
so
I
hold
talk
on. No,
about
no,
it, I talk about it from a long term relationship
for sure.
standpoint. So I ain't talking about like, oh, the first thing you do is
And-
start beating around the bush because you
And
don't
here
know if
we
you
go.
have to do
now,
it.
this is where I disagree at, and I still disagree. I don't see how you don't like notice
not
the
me.
clear nuance in this, in which, like, again, I can disagree with that perspective. And again, right now, hey, Rail, I disagree with talking to your partner when you have disagreements in metaphors and examples and not being direct with them as the first line of communication. But what I will give credence to is that, hey, if you've tried that and that doesn't work, then you should explore other options. Does this sound like a good another option? Probably, because this person is defensive when
think-
you're being straight.
I think
That seems like a very logical way of going about it.
okay, I'm not talking to this nigga no more. I'm gonna go
y'all
on to
didn't
how I
understand
felt
it. Did it
about
make
how I felt about the thing. So how long have they been married?
tap
I
out.
believe around 4 or 5 ish years.
Okay. Okay. And it seems to me like he, and like I said, I know like what you're talking about. I understand exactly like the place that he's kind of in. Whereas you know what I mean. You've literally he's and I guess it's kind of opposite. She may want to she may want to use more tact just in general. Just in general, because I think that if the fact that he's so defensive, it comes from a place to where he feels he has a reason to be defensive every time she says something. So this comes from actual things that have happened previously. So that's why she's going to have to try to figure out the best ways, not necessarily. And I think it's like the time frame has something to do with it, but more in your approach. Because once a person is very defensive, pretty much anytime you try to address a scenario, tell them how you feel. And especially if he doesn't feel what he's doing should be evoking this emotion that you have. So he's going to feel less inclined to want to talk about it as soon as you start talking about how you feel when his intention wasn't to make you feel said way. So he's gonna literally be defensive every time. You know what I mean? So you get tired of having to deal with it's easy for a person to get tired of having to deal with something that he's not intentionally trying to make, or he or she. If you keep telling me about how you feel and my intention is not to make you feel that way, and you feel that this thing is something that I'm intentionally doing. The fact that you keep doing that to me, like I don't really want to talk to you like that. You know what I mean? I don't really want to talk to you like that about, you know what I mean? So it's gonna be like he said. I agree because shoot, I've used that tactic multiple times. Even the homie Mark, he been married 23 years. He said that's something that he utilized. Over time, you will see that that's something that generally will happen. Sooner or later, somebody's gonna stop liking the fact that you know what I mean? When you start getting into you need to do this and you need to do this differently. It
Hey,
gets to
real.
a point to where it's gonna make you feel a way. So that tact is very important after as time goes on.
Um, I want to move along, but I guess as you were saying that, one thing that did come in my head is that and I think that in general inside long standing relationships there are different situations or intact that you have to use different strategies to make sure, because I mean, like, we're all humans, so like there's going to be times that we're defensive, times that we're not, times in which we have to speak direct and straight. Would you say that when it's a point that you need to get through to this person, like it is an imperative point that you're going to
Hmm.
speak inside a straight line or inside a metaphor or an example? And if you speak inside example, would you say that there's a high success rate of them understanding that and taking that and actually changing their behavior, or is it better when you speak straight?
In my experience,
Hmm.
it's almost every time better when you use somebody else's scenario.
Do they
And
actually
the
understand and put
implementation,
it in
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because if you're intentional about the example that you give, it is very intentional.
Hmm.
It is very intentional. That's the thing. You got to be very intentional about the actual example that you use so that they can easily line up these similarities. You can even like use certain. It's about if you know each other, you know there's certain language that you would use to get them to kind of, you know what I mean, to align with that scenario. And it is, you gotta, of course, if you're gonna use it, don't just use it loosely because that ain't gonna work for shit. But so if you're gonna use it, you got to be intentional about how you're using it to make sure that it pushes that point home. And if you've been with somebody for a long time, you understand how you should be doing that. You know what I mean? Over a period of time, you know how the conversation is gonna go. The fact that I already know how the conversation is gonna go, if I do address it head on, which a lot of the times addressing it head on ain't gonna be the way to go. Majority of the time, you're gonna have to either decide not to address it, or you're gonna figure out how is the way that I'm going to address this and make sure that the outcome is not making it worse. Because, like you say, certain people are very defensive, and a person that's very defensive, you can rarely talk to them in a straight line, direct to them, because they are the victim. So you don't want to
Hmm.
put them in a placement where they feel like they're the victim. You want to make sure that you kind of, you know what I mean, paint it. So, but and if you're gonna do it, if you're trying to actually accomplish that goal to making this a productive conversation for them to see themselves, then you know what I mean. And then hey, you could even use yourself. That's what you do. You double back and be like, dang, I remember I was thinking such and such. You can.
No, that's
It's
a
a way
great
that you can
conversation
kind of
tactic.
make that thing smooth over. It's
Hmm.
just about being intentional about it and thinking. You know what I mean? Having that tact, and if it's worth it, if the relationship is worth it, then you'll do all of those things. Just like like I said, most dudes that been married a long time, I guarantee you that's something that they've tried
For
because
sure.
it's not as easy as you know what I mean? Oh, I'm just gonna tell you how I feel,
Well,
and that shit
you
just
gotta
don't
know who
work
you
all the
Yeah.
talking
time.
to too.
For sure.
You
And
gotta really
I
know who
guess
you talking to.
again, as we're moving, I guess the only outlook that I would also give is that seeing and knowing a couple people that have been married for like the 30, 40 plus years. And so I like my family structure, and seeing some of that is also a reason why I'm intentional about making sure I'm straightforward. Because of anything, I don't even want to make it too broad, but I would say that I've seen that lapse in communication play itself out over like 10, 20 years, and it's not necessarily like people complete end up on completely different pages
Mhm.
because of like in speaking in metaphor and examples. Sometimes there is some things that, depending on how that person takes it, it's still lost in translation.
Mhm.
And I've seen that play out over like long-term versions of like marriages or whatnot, and where it's like, hey, like I've had this conversation with even my people, like, well, you probably should just be direct and say some of these things because of that's exact, like sometimes the beat around the bush tactic isn't what's necessary at this point,
Mhm.
or whatnot. But just if I'm going into the idea of moving the conversation along, what this did get me thinking about, and we can kind of like throw this into some black man shit, um in relationships and scenarios, what are triggers to make you defensive? So like I know for me, one thing that I've sat and like really thought about, like what triggers me to be a little defensive, and this is like triggers that a person's not intentionally doing,
Mhm.
but like you're noticing yourself get defensive about. for me, it's insecurities of something. I think that it's really just an insecurity, and it's usually like inside like the form of something I feel like I should already know or do, and that triggers me, right? And it's not something necessarily an idea of like this person's intentionally doing it, but it could be something said that I feel like I should be already on top of it. So now I'm defensive about something that I feel like I should already be on top of. If that makes any sense.
So just to be
You're
sure, you
saying if
saying
somebody brings up something that you feel like,
Right. It could be inside, and this is like because being defensive and triggering is like kind of like they're parallel a little bit. So like in a partnership, it might be something that triggers you to be defensive that person doesn't understand that they're doing, and then like when you sit and do your self evaluation, you tend to be like okay, or if you do good enough self evaluation, it's like what's the antithesis of this triggering thing?
one thing for me in the past or just recently is just attention,
Okay.
saying that I'm not giving attention when I feel like I am.
I can get that. Yeah.
And then it's like maybe I'm giving attention in the way I want to give attention,
Okay.
but I'm not necessarily paying attention into the way this person needs me to pay attention. And
you
like,
talking about that love language shit.
and like sometimes hearing that though you don't pay attention, it's like nah, I pay attention. I've noticed this X, Y, and Z. I pay attention, but it's like, nah, you don't pay attention to what I need you to pay attention
And that's
to.
fair though.
And so that's one of those things where I find myself like, so I feel like in a relationship, I'm, have that attention to detail, but sometimes somebody say I don't.
Yeah. And I think that that's definitely one of those ones where like I definitely think that I can be defensive if I feel like I'm doing intentionally doing something and then they bring that up as the deficit.
And it's like, nah,
And
you're
I'm
not
like,
doing
"Ah."
it. You're not doing it the way.
Mhm.
And then you can't
But
get
then I
mad
mean
at
like
the
but it's
woman.
it's a fair critique,
Yeah,
but it's hard not to be
it's,
triggered and
it's
defensive
hard. It's
about
hard
it.
to swallow that. It's hard to what you call it, hold that L.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold that L when you feel like I am attentive, but somebody says I need you to be attentive in this way to me. This is how I need to be loved, and you're not necessarily doing it. And I'm like, well, I do X, Y, and Z, but
Yeah.
that ain't.
But then
That
I
ain't.
for me what's helped expand my perspective with it is the fact that I feel the same way about them at times. Or in the past, like that's something that I have did.
Oh
Where
yeah,
like they
oh
can be
yeah.
like, well, I'm doing these things, but
But
I'm like, that's like, so if you giving me
that's
gifts and I don't
facts.
give a shit about gifts,
Yeah.
Facts.
like that don't mean nothing to me.
That's your
Yeah.
love language.
Right. I actually want some like I just want some attention and time and like conversation and some shit. If you just like giving me gifts or being like doing things that you would want done for you, then like it's that doesn't mean that same thing for me.
That happens a lot in
And then
relationships.
so then when I've like tried to kind of like tap in and actually like think about the things that make me happy, it's made me a little bit more open to understanding the opposite perspective where it's
What
like
makes somebody else happy?
yeah what it actually takes to make somebody else happy as well,
No,
or content.
That's definitely one of them things.
And just to be sure, the question was, what's something that you find that triggers you within like a conversation?
Well no, it's makes you defensive.
Makes me defensive.
Like and within your relationship, something that's triggering to make you defensive.
Yeah. And I don't know if I'm answering this question appropriately. I know one thing that triggers me is like when we're not having a conversation about one thing. When we're having a conversation and we're talking about everything. When we're sitting talking and you've come to me and you want to talk about this, or let's say I come to you and I want to talk about something,
And then it goes
and
left.
then you want to talk about something else.
And then it
Like,
goes
don't talk
into-
to me if I come to you and I want to tell you how I feel about something. Don't start to try to pile on the things that you feel some way about, because that's not what we was
Or
talking
if I'm
about.
coming to you about a specific issue,
Right.
let's talk about that issue. Let's not bring all the other issues
Yeah.
that we got because we're trying to tackle
And-
this one issue.
Exactly, because like if you
I
come to
get
me
that. I
and
get
if
that.
you come to me and you want to tell me something that you think that I should do better, I'm not going to then start talking about things you should do better. I'm going to listen to what you're saying, and then we can have a conversation about this one thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's counterproductive, and it's going to piss me off like almost immediately, because I usually don't even come and say nothing about, you know what I mean, too much anyway. So if I do be like, okay, I'm just gonna come here and be direct, like you say, and I'm gonna say something that's making me feel away,
And now you
then
just said something.
come on now you want to try to get defensive, and now once you done got defensive, now I done tapped out and I'm completely like, yo, this whole conversation is stupid.
Cause what I find sometimes it feel like I'll bring up an issue and then you start taking shots.
Yeah.
You know, I bring up this is a legitimate issue that I had with you. Now, like you're gonna come and just start taking low blows about things in our relationship that we've may already have addressed.
Especially
And
if we already
and, and,
addressed it.
and I'm starting to work towards it. And now that I done brought up this issue,
Now you gonna
you
go
gonna
back
go
and talk
bring up
about
it.
it.
And now you just taking shots, and that is one
Yeah,
thing I
that
don't
right
like.
there, I think that's probably
Don't
one of
start taking like
the
just
worst
random
things.
shots just cause I'm trying to say how I feel now.
Exactly, because the thing is that when you say how you feel, you want it to be addressed, and I that in those times, if I feel like if you, I like, dang, I
We'll address
apologize
it.
about that. Like I'll try to be more intentional about fixing that. But then if I come to you and start talking about something, then you gonna play like the
Go back,
victim.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
to
It's like,
that.
come on now, like that there's no way that we gonna get anywhere. You know what I mean? Or I'll be happy at all. There's no way that I'll find happiness if every time that I feel a way that you want to start talking about me, because that's not what we talk.
Nah, a
If you
lot of
wanted to
people,
So
have
so
that
what?
a
conversation,
lot
then
of
why ain't you just come to
a
me and
lot of
tell me
people,
that
a lot
then?
of people that do that when you try to voice your issue with
For
something.
sure.
They'll start like, oh, well, yada yada, and just making threats and all kind of shit just based on this is me bringing up the way I fucking feel.
Yeah.
You
So
brought up
would you say that you would sum that up as in you you are triggered in like by being defensive when somebody's playing the victim?
Yeah, like if you, yeah, for sure. If you
Okay.
playing, because that victim mentality is definitely, it's like one of the worst mentalities that you can have. Like at the end of the day, being a victim, that means that like you're that is who you are. Like, but why are you a victim? You have the ability to change your situation, just like I have the ability to change mine. You're not necessarily a victim, especially if you have somebody that is willing to listen to what you're saying. Like
Right.
you're not a victim. You're
And
not a
more, I guess so.
victim
So and more so,
mentality makes you like what happened to you rather than who you are. It's
right.
like this happened to you, so I'm gonna always react this way because this one thing happened to me. Rather than I'm an
Yeah,
evolved person, and that might have happened to me one time, but I don't always have to react as if I'm the that person that it happened to me.
and so if I was to hone in on it more, a person that's bringing a victim mentality, especially when I'm airing a grievance of myself, it triggers me when that's when you present yourself as a victim.
right.
Okay.
I was, yeah,
I just want
pretty
to make sure
much
I was able to kind of
understand it
like
completely.
understand it and like completely encapsulate the conversation
Yeah,
or what you were saying.
bro, that's gonna trigger me 9 times out of 10. That's gonna
Hmm.
trigger me 9 times out of 10, because it's like I said, I barely ever really
Encapsulate.
come. I barely, you know what I mean. I'll just hold, like I say, hold the air. Like, shoot, dudes that been married a long time, we know we don't say something about most of the shit that happened. After you done been in a long 10-year relationship, you don't say something about most of the stuff. You kind of just rather the house go in, you know what I mean, in the regular mood and just a decent mood. You may feel a way, but you can chalk that. You'll
Hmm.
just eat it. But then when you do decide to say something, for you to go ahead and flip it every time, that is literally, yeah, that's gonna overcook my grits, coach.
You know, I agree with that. I think that
Overcook
you
the
see that
grits, have
even
them stuck to the pan.
You know what I
even
mean? You know how long it take to get them grits off of there, bro?
You gotta put bleach on them shits.
these a bunch of country niggas that put sugar in their grits. But
Open them
what I was about to
bitches.
say was that
Yeah, that's that
uh
Remember the Titans. That's what Denzel told him.
um I don't know. I had something I was gonna say, but I suffer from absent mindedness, so I lost it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, nah, them long term relationships, bro. It would be
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. I agree with you.
Cut you off
I
too
just
soon.
listen. I needed a trigger. He triggered me just then. Um, but yeah, no. What I was gonna say is that no, I agree with that. Like in general, in relationships, like if you've been with a partner and when you have an issue and you present that to them, and that is the thing that like now you just have all the issues and now you found the way to kind of make this into you being a victim of this whole
hmm
scenario. that is a triggering experience. In which, like, done enough, it makes you defensive of like, damn.
I don't
Like,
even
is
want to
this
never
even
talk to
really?
you.
Are these really even issues? Or are these your rebuttals to make sure that you don't work on what you need to work on?
Exactly. You playing hella defense.
Mm-hmm.
That defense is
I
impenetrable.
mean, but at some point that become its own red flag, though.
Hey
Oh
Johnny,
no, it
real
is.
quick, you know what that defense reminds me of? Like you watch Floyd do like the shoulder roll. Have you ever seen? Have you ever been inside a conversation
Yep.
with niggas that have Androids and you're an iPhone
Them
user?
green bubble niggas.
And then
Green bubble
and then like you
niggas.
hear like the way they put that defense up and like they start rolling off everything and like
Yeah.
they
I can't FaceTime, but I got the link.
hey,
But I got
hey,
the
look,
link.
I got the
I could AirPlay on the TV. Wait.
This ain't my phone.
Wait,
This
what's
is
the-
somebody else's phone. There's 3 different Androids.
Yeah, hey, you know the
And now it's
craziest
the
thing?
theme. It's
The craziest thing is that it's like niggas that it's almost like the bandwagon. Niggas would like how many years did niggas just wear Jordans? Like you wasn't cool unless you had Jordans on.
them
Y'all
niggas ain't
just-
air. Them
y'all
niggas
niggas
AirPlay the
bandwagon.
TV.
My Android do anything iPhone. I can AirPlay. Hey, hold up. This ain't my phone.
Ain't seen it yet.
I'm glad
All the
y'all-
nigga told us was hold on, wait.
I'm glad y'all feel like y'all got them superior. Y'all niggas just jumped on the same bandwagon and you want to call yourself cool and shit. I guarantee you, hey,
He gonna
hey,
show
for the
the shoulder
fellas,
roll,
hey,
Look
hey,
at him,
for the
look at him.
fellas, for the fellas out there, get you a chick with an Android, bro. Get you a chick with an Android. I bet you she
Yeah,
buy,
yeah.
she buy,
I can
she
tell
buy
you. I
more
can tell you a
white-
couple things about it.
I
I'll ask
guarantee
this
One thing
probably
you ain't
bought
gonna be able
more
to do
white
is FaceTime
material.
me and see where she at.
Share your location, Kane.
I think this would be a great time to segue to a positive takeaway.
I like to say one thing that I learned over this week is that I'm proud to be an iPhone user.
Blue
And
bubble.
by that meaning that with my phone, I have an ecosystem in which with my computer, I'm able to easily
Who
profile back and
gives a
forth.
fuck? That was worthy of
Damn,
a
you
positive takeaway.
niggas don't even allow the positive get out.
Positive takeaway is
You see how I
trash.
had mad bullet points lined up? I told you what they do every time you start lining them bullet points up.
Nigga, this is a
Niggas
positive
just start like
takeaway.
interjecting and don't even let
Hey,
you finish. That was
let us
great.
be
I was
positive
trying to
real
be
quick,
positive.
Rail. Can we be
I ain't even say the
Go
word
ahead, bro.
Android.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm gonna just switch it. I'm my positive takeaway for the week is challenging Android users to get out their comfort zone. And
Okay, good
today,
job. Dude, what's your positive takeaway for today?
I'll let you go first.
You'll let me go first? I want you to go first. Go ahead.
Go first, bro. Go first.
What
You
is
want me to
my
go
positive takeaway for the pod? Let me see. My positive takeaway. Oh shit. Dang. I'm gonna say my positive takeaway is forgive your parents.
Mm.
Forgive your parents, man, because at the end of the day, they was freestyling just like you probably freestyling with yours. And hopefully you do get a better outcome. But and in forgiving them, I say to just have the tough conversations with them too.
Give them
Because those tough conversations, I can say like within my life, like having the tough conversations, it actually helped me to build confidence and you know what I mean. It just made me a completely different person. Like when you get to a point to where you know that your parents respect your opinion, you know what I mean. It was powerful for me as to get into that place where I know that they appreciate and respect my opinion and me as a man, and they you know what I mean. And it makes them even more proud. For real, really, it makes them more proud of what I've, you know what I mean, the man that I've grown to be.
Oh yeah.
So I guess that's my positive takeaway. Just to, you know what I mean, you gotta forgive them and you know what I mean.
That's big. Your
Allow that relationship to flourish after, you know what I mean, what was done. Unless they just super toxic, but in most scenarios, you can create a new relationship with them.
But my positive takeaway is it's gonna deal with one of the brothers of ours. Our boy T Free. He just had a death in the family. And so I want to take this time out as the show to just send some positive love, light to him. Just praying for your peace, big dog, peace and understanding. if you need anything, you already know the shows.
Deepest condolences, bro.
For
Oh yeah,
sure.
for
For
sure.
sure.
You know, Big TT Free, one of our port brothers. So,
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
just want to take this time in the positive takeaway to send him some positive love and light. Just
Sure.
as a show, as a collective. Just just hope he feel us in this time. In this tough time for him. So.
Mhm.
That's my positive takeaway. T Free, we love you, big
Yeah, love you,
dog.
bro. Yeah,
Love you,
bro. Keep your
bro.
head up.
Prayers for your family, condolences,
For
and
sure.
if you need anything, your brothers
Hit our line.
For
We
right,
all
sure.
here.
right here for you. So that's my positive takeaway. I want to say this was the To Be Fair show. Like, comment, subscribe below.
Yes,
Follow us
sir.
on Facebook at the To Be Fair Show. Follow us on Instagram at the To Be Fair Show, and on YouTube at the To Be Fair Show. Check out the shorts. Hit the notification button. Anything you want to tell us,
Put
comment
it in them
below.
comments for sure.
Please run the comments up. I was your host, Johnny P,
Over here, real.
It's Q.
and we out.